that's working just fine. My name is Don Rollins. If we haven't met, I am the interim minister here at the congregation. I'm here today so we can acknowledge the heaviness so many of us feel this morning. I want to honor that, and I want you to stay with us here because you're going to see an amazing movie. You're going to hear an old gospel tune that you'll wonder why it is I asked Doug to do it. It's because it's Universalist Sunday, that's why. So there will be some amazing things that happen today. But folks, you can bring your pain and your anger and your suffering with you here this morning. You have a home here in every way.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jane Hogue, and I'm a member of the board here at QUUF. Welcome into this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a liberal religious congregation founded in 1976 and bound together to serve religious freedom, caring community, and social justice. As we gather, I acknowledge that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the Skelm and Chemakum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain these homelands. If you are visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. We have a newcomers table near the patio doors where our greeters are ready to answer any questions you might have. So may the welcome we offer you be in equal measure to the one in our hearts. We pause briefly to do some essential business within the congregation. Our congregation depends on lay leaders to carry out its mission. Following today's service, our nominations committee will be available to tell you about some of the positions that will be open for the 2026-27 program year, the expectations, challenges, and joys of leading here at QUUF. We'll make some time for questions, so join us in front of the sanctuary. There will be cookies involved. As many of you are aware, our annual stewardship campaign is officially underway. We'll be including a brief stewardship moment in the next few services. Jean Wallet and her son Ethan will share today.
Morning, everyone. In January of 2000, my spouse Gail Bernhard and Ethan and I all agreed to move to Port Townsend after spending 5 months at the RV park in Point Hudson, despite living right under the foghorn. Scott Walker, a longtime member here, encouraged me to try QUF because I was complaining about not feeling connected enough to the important things in life. And that was the beginning of our association with QUF. And I'll turn it over to Ethan now, who can tell you about his own experiences here.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here. My name is Ethan, and I spent the better part of my formative years intertwined with the QUF community. Aside from, I'm going to adjust a little bit here. Aside from learning far more than I ever wanted to about sex via the OWL program, I had the opportunity to travel to the American South with the youth group after Hurricane Katrina to assist with the rebuilding efforts there. I assisted with the construction of the sanctuary we find ourselves in now, as well as traveled to Standing Rock to stand in solidarity with the native peoples of the American heartland in their struggle against corporate greed and government overreach. These experiences greatly shaped who I am today, and as such, the activist within me would be greatly remiss if I did not take this small platform I have and turn it into something meaningful. We live in incredibly perilous times, and it is all too easy for us to rest in the comfortable bubble of Port Townsend, surround ourselves with those who only echo our beliefs, and bask in the surety of our own rightness. I myself am guilty of this at times. The monster we face knows no party, it knows no creed and no nation. It is an external expression of the darkness that lies inside each and every one of us. If we are ever to grow beyond it, the journey starts inside of our own hearts. Not just practicing gentleness and compassion, but also acknowledging the darker aspects of our own nature we choose to hide from ourselves and from the world. When unchecked, that darkness grows and twists us until we resemble something our inner child would never recognize. Where are our blind spots? When does empathy and compassion harden into contempt and judgment? By shining a light on that darkness, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us, we can integrate it and become the best versions of ourselves and change the world. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope that all of us can support QUUF as it supports each of us in becoming who we want to be. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary and Ethan. Please join us after the service for a grand cookie reception to kick off our stewardship campaign. Now, let us settle our minds and calm our hearts. Let us be present for this moment and each other.
Lovely. So our opening words and chalice lighting, I'd like to invite Orion Curry to come forward. We light today's chalice with these words from Unitarian Universalist minister Tara Humphreys, titled, "This Chalice is Lit for You." Thank you. Whether you are from the South, the East, the North, or the West, whether you were born into this faith, found it, or it found you, whether you feel at home or are still trying to find your place, whether you believe in God, are open to mystery, or still have no idea, whether you are unemployed, underemployed, cobbling things together, overworking, or in school, whether you are holding anxiety, grief, confusion, anger, hope, restlessness, or deep peace, Unitarian Universalism has a place for you. It is right here, and this chalice is lit for you. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in our opening hymn.
So you're saying to yourself, we just sang this song 3 weeks ago. We did. And then again, I say to the people who are with us online, if you could only be in the room when these folks just cut loose on this tune. There's part of that. That's part of it. The other part is that this is about universalism. This is as inclusive as a song that I know. The other is we need to sing this morning. We need to sing. So if you don't know this, goes like this. All God's creators got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing higher. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap your hands or paws or anything you got now. Okay? They're already making motions, so I'll show them to you again. All God's creators got a place in the what? The choir. Some sing low. Some sing higher. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got. Now, there's 3 beats, okay? Here we go. All God's creators got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, paws, anything they got. 1, 2, 3, and listen to the bass, it's the one on the bottom with the bullfrog croaks and the hippopotamus moans and croaks to the beat to do. The old cow just goes, all God's creators got a place in the choir. Some sing low, and some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, paws, or anything got. 1, 2, 3, and dogs and the cats, they make up the middle where the honeybee hums and the cricket fiddles, the donkey brays and the pony neighs, the old coyote. All God's creators got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got. Now, 1, 2, 3, and listen to the top where the little birds sing on the melodies with the high notes ring. The hoot owl hollers over everything. The jaybird disagrees. Here we go. All God's creators got a place in the choir. Yes, they do. All sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands and paws or anything they got now. Hear a story, come on down. This floor gets lower every time, I think. Couldn't be me. I'm going to stand right there. Going to be right there. Nope. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I have a story for you, but first, you can't really see her, but Pat is the person behind the piano right now, and she's going to play something called classical music, a little bit of that, and then I'm going to show you something different. So Pat, if you would, play something for us. Sometimes music like that is really just calming. If you've had kind of a tough day or you're not feeling well or whatever's going on, it's kind of cool to have that kind of music to help you just get calm. And then there's this. This is called Boogie Woogie. That is kind of boogie woogie. And let me tell you why we're talking about classical music and we're talking about guitar music, that kind of guitar music. So let me tell you a story about Miranda and how it is that she learns how to play classical music and she learns how to play boogie woogie music. So you'll see some pictures up here. That's probably the easiest way, but I'm still going to hold this for those of you who'd rather do it this way. This is Miranda, and there you see her. Again, you can look up there if that's easier for you. Miranda loves to play the piano. She plays Bach and Haydn and Mozart for Aunt Lorraine. By the way, those are classical composers, people who wrote those songs. Aunt Lorraine, Grandma Belle, Uncle Jay, and the rest of her relatives. She plays a rousing, that means really exciting, school anthem for Mrs. Tilly Bean Quigley and the kids in her class. And she plays scales, that's like notes in a row, smoothly for her piano teacher, Mr. Theodore. And then one day, while walking home from school, Miranda hears a different kind of music. The beat is free and it's loose, and Miranda runs down the street toward it. And around the corner she comes. And out of breath, she finds a one-man band playing boogie woogie. The old man plays with such passion, that means really fired up, happy. The music fills the air with this wild rhythm. Exactly, he is rocking. Miranda cannot help but move to this music. Thrilled, Miranda runs home, begins to play her own boogie woogie, and she plays it loud. She plays it fast. And Miranda's hands slide and pound those keys. So does her head and her elbows. So do her head and elbows and knees and feet. Getting down. Playing boogie woogie makes Miranda very happy. Miranda's playing boogie woogie makes everyone else very, very unhappy. They like a different, good question. They like a different kind of music. Excellent question. Why play such horrid music, says Aunt Lorraine. You are wasting your talent, dear child, said Mr. Theodore. Stop the nonsense, Miranda, shouts Mrs. Tilly Bean Quigley. Miranda has had enough. If she cannot play what she wants to play, then she simply will not play the piano at all, ever again. And that is that. Each day, a little more dust settles on that silent piano. Each day, the house becomes quieter and quieter. Everyone tiptoes around and speaks in whispers. No one has any appetite, means you're not hungry. There is not a smile in the place. At school, the singing has stopped. The kids are miserable. But the person who is suffering most is Miranda. Still, she stands her ground. Finally, Miranda's mom shouts, "Enough of this awful silence. Any music is better than none. Miranda, you may play boogie woogie." "Why can't I play both? Classical and boogie woogie?" Miranda replies. There's the Universalism, by the way, folks. There it is. That's the breakthrough. The door on the piano is open, the curtains are drawn back, the window is raised, and the fresh air fills the room. The dust is vacuumed off the piano, and once again there is music. Please be careful with the guitar. And once again there is music. Thank you. Miranda plays Mozart for Aunt Lorraine and the gang. She plays the school anthem for Mrs. Tilly Bean Quigley and her classmates. She plays scales over and over for Mr. Theodore. But for herself, Miranda plays what makes her happiest, boogie woogie. So here's the idea. Sometimes it doesn't have to be this thing or that thing. Sometimes it can be two things. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah. Have a good class. They're going to make a... Yeah.
Go heaven peace, go heaven peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
So we pause for a time of generosity and to receive an offering to support both the Jefferson County Food Bank Association and QUF. The ushers will come among us to receive the offering, and additional ways for giving will be projected on the wall behind me.
This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what shall I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. They're all expecting me, and that's one thing I know. My Savior's pardoned me, and now I onward go. I know He'll take me through, though I am weak and poor, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what shall I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore.
Friends, do not blame Doug for the selection of music. But hear this. Where I come from, grieving together calls for music. This is one of the old hymns that we would sing back in the day. And we did that because we could not recognize the world anymore. This morning I'm having trouble recognizing the world anymore. So the song has taken on extra meaning, at least for me, if not for you. We set aside this time to get quiet, to be able to come to ground, to share the deepest things going on with us. And today, Joanna, we place this first stone, symbol of strength. This rock, this stone, symbol of strength, to mark our resolve in the face of escalating war, untold suffering in the Middle East, and Ukraine, and Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And it goes on, friends. So, the solid stone We place this final stone to make room for all those joys and sorrows that go unspoken, whether in this room or online with us. Whether your heart is light or whether you're heavy, once again I say, you have come to the right place. There are people who care about you here, and we will make it through, friends. We will. Talking about Universalism, with the long history of being able to be more spiritual, shall we say, than the Unitarian side, and I'll say more about that, of course. But before we see an amazing movie for you, we're going to spend a little bit of time in the 23rd Psalm as interpreted, that's from the Hebrew Scriptures, as interpreted by a Unitarian Universalist minister. Earlier this year, I shared these words from UU minister Kevin Tarsa. This time, I have adopted them made them into a prayer and a responsive reading. So I'm going to read each section here, followed by your response, and here it is. And I live in a house of love. Say that with me. And I live in a house of love. A little quieter again now. And I live. And in the petition into the heavens of the holy, a little quieter again. And I live. May I remember in this dangerous moment that love is my guide, always shepherding me towards an openness and compassion. Whisper it with me. I have what I need, really, because love is at my side, love is above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, inside every cell of me. Love is infused everywhere, and I live in a house of love. And just when the weight of the world I inhabit threatens to drop me in place, and press my hope down to the ground beneath, I face the sun and I say, and I live in a house of love. Love pure and gentle invites me to rest for a while, leaves the center of my soul to be quiet and still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I had not noticed before my pain. And love sets me once again on a tender and a demanding path, and I live in a house of love. And I know that I will be well when love whispers to me, comes near to me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests upon my shoulders. And I stop and I turn and I notice that goodness and kindness and grace will follow me everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. And I live in a house of love. Say it one more time. I live in a house of love.
Breaths. Time to smile and be proud. Liesl Slaybaugh, I'd like to invite you to come and tell us what you all have for us.
Thank you for that transition, Joanna. I was going to start with a little bit of humor, so it's good to take a few breaths from where we just all spent a little time together. As you've heard a few times this morning, we are kicking off the 2026 annual stewardship campaign this morning. And so our stewardship committee has created something that you've also heard alluded to this morning, an audiovisual treat. But let me tell you how it all got started. Robin Steeman, Sarah Walker, and I went down to San Diego for a storytelling conference, nonprofit storytelling conference. And the theme this year was Hollywood. Between all the workshops about fundraising and stewardship, we had a little time to branch out and try some new things. Here we are, Robin and I playing at being podcasters. So Robin and I got talking about this year's stewardship campaign, and the idea of telling our story through a movie came up. And I have to say, Robin, as she always does, really got into it. This year, we are celebrating QUUF's 50th anniversary. And what better way to tell that story than through our youth? The stewardship team has put together an audiovisual treat for you today, and you get to see the world premiere of Creating the Future, celebrating our religious education programming and our former RE youth. In each of these slides, you will see a child or children experiencing the joy, connection, and deep sense of belonging that is provided by our RE program. I'm getting emotional thinking of my own children and that sense of connection. What's really fun about these slides is you're going to get to see each young person magically become the young adult doing good works out in the world. Some of those young people are actually in Port Townsend doing those good works, and you heard from Ethan, for example, this morning. There are others here, and see if you can spot them. I invite you to, as you watch, to open your heart to that power of transformation that you will see in each one of these youths as they come of age. These beautiful young people embody our theme of honoring our past and creating the future so well. Thanks to Ken Rudman, who created the slideshow for us this morning. Enjoy.
When I was a boy, each week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used used to be a world half there, heaven second rate, hand me down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven second rate, hand me down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Well, if you're in need of some amazement this morning, you just got it. Thank you so much, all of you who did this for us. The image behind me is All Souls, Unitarian Universalist Church. That's in Belleville, Ohio. The congregation was begun over 100 years ago. This sandstone building was completed in 1897. During my seminary days, I spoke and sang there many times, as did a good friend entering our ministry 15 years behind me, Jim Bosveld. Jim chose All Souls as site for his ordination. I got to preach for the occasion. I was all draped in Universalism and polished oak. What a special place that room is. Once upon a time, 4+ decades ago, I was a student pastor in an evangelical tradition. Among my rock-solid beliefs was the existence of a literal heaven and a literal hell. It never occurred to me to believe otherwise. My study of the Hebrew and Christian scriptures made it plain. We are born, we live, we die, and then we spend eternity in one of two places. But I don't recall preaching all that much about those two destinations. Turned out the congregation had a history of moderate pastors. They preached love and repentance in equal measure. And the elderly pastor before me stayed in the area, and I attended services with us. He never interfered despite how green I was, never offered advice I didn't seek. He'd been there for 20 years, survived the inevitable wear and tear of being somebody's minister, and he had done it with grace. I remember asking him how he made his way through the thistles of congregational life, and then came the closest thing to advice he ever offered. Something like, don't worry too much about your preaching or singing. These are patient people. Trust them. They'll trust you back. And then he said, try this. Notice right off where everybody sits on a Sunday. Memorize the pew, the exact place where so-and-so always sits. And once you've got that down, come early every Sunday morning and walk around the sanctuary and put your hand on the back of the pews right where so-and-so sits, and do not forget the kids. And then pray for them without judgment. You have no idea what they've been through this last week, so give them hope. And folks, wouldn't be honest to say that my mentor in that instance was a Universalist, not the small theological U. We'll talk about that. Certainly not the capital U, Universalism as we understand it. But he did understand judgment. This is a sermon about the no-hellers, known as Universalists, the ones past and present that play second fiddle to the much noisier and flashier Unitarians. Nothing new. Running up to official merger in 1961, Universalists were afraid that they were being submerged rather than merged, and it turns out they were right. And whether it's convenience of trying to cut 10 syllables down to 5, or just force of habit, how easy it's become to decenter Universalism. So let's talk about the no-heller side of the family, starting with some history. Universalism, we're talking about small u now, is a theological position at least as old as the Christian church itself. The central teaching of historic Universalism, still small u now, is universal salvation, means everybody goes home. All souls will be reconciled to God. No questions asked. Universalism, small u now, was condemned as a heresy at the Second Council of Constantinople. That was 533 in the Common Era. Fancy way of sudden, we got booted out pretty quickly in 533. That wasn't enough, so Roman emperor said, let's do it again. In 544, we got bounced once again from a church council. In Great Britain, the American colonies, some believers in Universalism were banished from their homes, a few were tortured. James Relly, R-E-L-L-Y, was a Welsh Methodist minister who converted to a Universalist theology and got a following in England. The first known Universalist sermon in the colonies was given in 1770. John Murray was the giver. Stay with me here. The history buffs are digging it, not everybody else. The first Universalist, and now we're in upper U. This is Universalism as we know it. It was founded in Massachusetts in 1779. The first get-together of congregations was in 1785. And by the way, the Universalists were great cooks. They were lousy organizers. Just awful. Maria Cook was the first woman known to preach from a Universalist pulpit, and that was back in 1811. The Universalist Herald, a magazine that is still going, was founded in 1847. It is the longest-running periodical with liberal religious values. I promise we'll stop with the fancy words here soon. In 1863, the Universalists ordained Olympia Brown as the first female parish minister to be ordained by a standing Christian denomination. Olympia Brown, we'll hear for her in our closing reading. Universalists were key in founding Tufts College, 1852, St. Lawrence University and Theological School, 1856, and Booktill College, now the University of Akron, in 1870. They were awful organizers. They didn't hold on to any of these places. A Universalist mission was begun in Japan in 1890. Joseph Fletcher Jordan was ordained as Universalism's first black minister, 1889, folks. Universalist minister, this is for you humanists, Universalist minister Clinton Lee Scott was among the signers of the Humanist Manifesto, 1933, a statement of beliefs based on reason and science. That same year, 1933, and catch this one, Universalist minister and pacifist L. Griswold Williams wrote the original text for that covenant, "Love is the doctrine of this church." That's a Universalist, folks. And to get kind of sharp, we carved out God from the original. The Universalist Service Committee, organization to advance human rights and justice, was formed in 1945. Universalist Unitarian youth merged in 1953, way ahead of the rest of us, by the way. They became known as Liberal Religious Youth. That's LRY for some of you. The Universalist Church in America, as I slobber, and the American Unitarian Association finally merged in 1961, creating our now Unitarian Universalist Association. And post-merger, some historically Universalist churches have worked hard to retain their character and their theology. North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, they are still part of the Universalist Convention that was created in 1990. Universalism marked its 20th anniversary in the U.S. in 1993 and is 2026. And I say to you, Universalism remains a vibrant voice for grassroots inclusion in our ranks. This is not some quaint relic. It is right there in the center of our 6 values. They call it love. That is Universalism. Some more history for those of you who are interested. Everybody else, take a quick nap. Universalists tend to be far less wealthy than their Unitarian cousins. That class difference that continues today was there from the beginning. Universalist ministers received little, if any, formal training. Pay was low, not always certain. The majority rural buildings needed constant tending, so budgets were always tight. And for all of their love for tradition, they were awful when it came to maintaining the institutions they started. They gave up on every university I just mentioned. And then there was the infighting starting in the early 1800s. Question was, when I die, is there a time of purification? Or are we welcomed directly into God's arms without question? Universalism or ultra-universalism, that's the thing. John Murray or Hosea Ballou. I go Ballou. Ballou's my favorite. He was country, straight up country. Raised in the deep woods poverty of New Hampshire in 1770, born there. Ballou's parents were old school Calvinists who held a strict reading of Scripture. Hell was ever present. That's the bottom line. We're going to hell except for a few. Ballou couldn't buy it. He converted to a small U, Universalism theology, sometime in his early 20s. He'd had enough. And because he could put together a pretty good sermon, his Universalist congregation ordained him right on the platform. No college, no seminary, no problem. That was the Universalism of the era. Ballou began his first Universalist ministry in 1794. He held short-term jobs in New England, eventually came to Second Universalist in Boston. There's a lot to tell you about Hosea Ballou. Going to skip over a bunch of stuff, but first and foremost, he was an ultra-Universalist. He had been mentored by John Murray, again, the father of Universalism here. He had been mentored by Murray, influenced by Judith Sargent Murray. And the idea was, believe that we need some cleansing before we enter eternity. And Ballou started there, but he couldn't stay there. His position changed radically over the course of just a few years. And here's Ballou's theology: when we die, we go home. No waiting, no detours. We just go home. And his version of Universalist theology eventually won the day. It changed the arc of an entire denomination. No more reception areas, no more confessionals. Universalism was living into its wide, wide vision. From the Gospel of Wizard of Oz. I don't know enough, said the scarecrow cheerfully. My head is stuffed with straw, you know, and that's why I am going to Oz to ask him for some brains. Oh, I see, said the Tin Woodman. But after all, brains are not the best things in the world. Have you any? Inquired the scarecrow. Oh, no, my head is quite empty, said the woodman. But once I had brains and a heart, so having tried them both, I should much rather have a heart. I completed my parish ministry internship right there with a decidedly Universalist church in Western Maine. Matter of fact, the name hasn't changed since the doors were opened over a century ago. If you go there, you're going to the First Universalist Church of West Paris, Maine. No parentheticals. Let me tell you about Milton Inman, the president of that congregation, at least when I got there in the late 80s. Milton died in the fall of 2023. Milty was president of the congregation when I arrived, a source of constant entertainment. Think synthesized polka inside a large Chevy Suburban on a Saturday morning. I'd been up since 2 the morning before. Milty showed up and said, let's go to the dump. We were going shopping. The stories continue. But Milty and his entire church were proud Universalists. They were reflexive Universalists. Ask them who they were, and they automatically started with their faith tradition. In my first board meeting I asked them about their message to the world. Help me understand what I'm supposed to be doing here. There were furrowed brows all around. Big picture was not their suit. They didn't so much wait for their thinking. They had hearts, they just did. So I asked them, what's up? What's my job? And friends, you and I have moments before moments. We can tell something holy is about to happen. So we try to be present. Maybe even remember what's going on, because it is so good, it is so demanding, so present. That was the moment of total silence before Milty cleared his throat and diverted his eyes. What he said to me is, we say, come on in. That's what we have to say to you and to the world, come on in. You may not stay, we may not be what you're looking for, but come on in anyway. Now, folks, I didn't cry at that pure, truthful moment, but I sure enough wanted to. So Come On In was the title of my first service with that lovely inside and outside church. I want to try to reconstruct my riff on what Milty was telling me, and then when I tried to tell them back that first Sunday. And yes, you have a part 2. When I finish each phrase, say, come on in. Say it like you mean it. Come on in. Here we go. If you don't have 2 dimes to rub together this morning, come on in. If you're depressed and looking for somebody that cares, come on in. If you just lost your job, come on in. If you spent last night with a needle in your arm or a bottle of whiskey in your mouth, come on in. If you looked in the mirror this morning and you hated what you saw, come on. If somebody you loved just packed up and left you, come on. If somebody told you you were not worthy, come on. If somebody told you God has some sort of a record of how many times you cussed out loud, come on in. If your version of God hates you, try ours. Come on in. And you're looking for grace or mercy or the dumb things you want to get over the dumb things you say, come on in. And if there really is a devil, and his name is perfection, and if you've had enough perfection, come on in. And lastly, as I recall, I said, if you're looking to be of use in this screwed up world, come on in. It probably went better than that, but you get the idea. In West Paris, Maine, universal means universal. Milty had it right. Universalism as one big old come on in. Let's wind this down. I've mentioned to you before my gig as a hospital chaplain before coming your way. Easily the second best job I ever had, by the way. There was not a committee meeting anywhere to be seen. Not a one. And what an amazing experience to be chaplain in that Appalachian town 2 miles away from the place where I was born. I am a Unitarian Universalist, I say to myself, and I am from here. So these are my people, and these are my people. When I entered each room, I would stop, and I would check my Unitarianism at the door. Emerson did not go in that door with me. The finer points of here we go again, spirituality versus humanism, they did not enter that room with me. They had no place. No theological knee-jerks when somebody's story or salvation was very different from mine. No room for head trips or prayers that would stick in my throat, and you absolutely can believe I offer prayers. What they were looking for is what I'd be looking for, and I bet you would too. Somebody who would show up and shut up. That was it. What did go with me into those rooms, what helped me clear my theological decks and be present, was universalism. The no-heller, often neglected gospel that told me every patient, every family member, every staff member on that floor that day came pre-loved. Just show up. So friends, what a gift we have been given. I encourage you not to drop off the Universalist anytime you say Unitarian. That's only half of the family. There's a hyphen in there somewhere, and it comes from these people and these places, because these are our people. These are our places. So friends, love is our birthright. Love is our calling card. It is right there in the 6 values. In the middle, love, universalism, despite it all, despite a day like today. Would you rise as you are able and willing? Number 128, if you're using the great hymnal. Otherwise, lyrics will be up here. For all that is our life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad.
Our closing words are by Olympia Brown. Stand by this faith. Our closing words are written by Universalist minister Olympia Brown, the first American woman ordained at the consent of her denomination. They've been adapted for our use. Be close by this faith. Work for it and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all this world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, always trusting in the one God, which ever lives and loves. Please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And of course, you have a part in this song as well. Thank you. Bless you. This is Paul Overstreet and Don Schlitz's And So It Goes. It's a wonderful song that touches right on universalism. Thank you. Let me show you your part. This is one of the last songs singer-songwriter John Denver recorded. Okay. Your part comes in after some other parts, so I got to go through that part first. Just I'll be right with you. And so it goes with everything but love. So it goes again. So it goes with everything but love. So it goes. The mansion on a hill is a lovely sight to see, but like any other house, it's only temporary, 'cause home is anywhere that you choose to put your heart. And if there's no love inside, well, it'll soon fall apart. And ashes to ashes, and dust into dust, Buildings will crumble, and bridges they will rust, and mountains will disappear, and rivers will dry up. Here comes your part. And so it goes with everything but love. So it goes with everything but love. So it goes. And you can drive around in a long limousine, but if you don't know where you're going, well, it don't mean a thing. And he who'd walk a mile just to hold an empty hand, he knows what it means to be a wealthy man. And ashes to ashes, dust into dust, kingdoms they will crumble, and bridges they will rust, and mountains will disappear, rivers will dry up. Here we go. So it goes with everything but love. So it goes. And earthly treasures, they'll all pass away. There's just one thing that's put here to stay. Ashes to ashes, dust into dust, buildings they will crumble, bridges they will rust, and mountains will disappear, rivers will dry up. Here we go. And so it goes with everything but love. So it goes with everything but love. So it goes with everything but love. Go in peace, folks.